Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Who do you think these people are with the ballots? Are they like political?
They're working for political parties, yeah.
They are.
They are, that's obvious.
For like Democratic parties or who do
We
you
don't
think?
ask it, they don't
They
tell.
don't ask, they don't tell.
But we know that they got to answer to somebody by what they said. Don't fuck it up because it's not authentic. I don't want to have to scratch it out. And don't let your signature look like the other signature. Can you use your other hand, or can you write with your foot or your nose? I'm serious.
They ask you to do that?
Yeah.
On the ballots?
And I've done it just so I could get the money and add it up and get my Betty. I've done
Yeah,
it.
so how many
But I
ballots?
had a monkey on my bed. Betty's no joke.
How many ballots would you sign at once? Like
At least, like, if I was lucky, 4 or 5.
4 at a time?
Or 5. It depends on everybody if they need to hurry up and get to business.
And they get you to vote for the same person.
No, they want us to vote for whatever the ballot is.
And I met a man at the train depot, and he said, "Are you a registered voter?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, that's okay. I want to pay you to vote." And I said, "Again, I'm not a registered voter." I sat down with him and I said, "Again, I'm not a registered voter." He said, "Oh, that's fine." He pulled out his phone and he said, "Do you got nice penmanship?" Well, yeah, why? Okay, here's the names. What I want you to do is write this name on this form and then sign the signature, and I'll pay you. I said, "I'm not doing that." "But I'll pay you." I said, "I don't care." "Oh, okay." And then he walked away. He is trying to pay me to do voter fraud, and I'm not doing that.
Whew. The homeless are actually admitting that they're committing voter fraud. You have now images coming from the ballot counting station of stacks of ballots. You have 16-year-olds that are voting in elections. 16-year-olds. Our election systems are largely illegitimate. There's nothing legitimate about any of our election systems. And if there was, you wouldn't have to pass a law that says you're not allowed to look under the covers. And we have this problem not just in California. This problem is in Colorado, Virginia, Nevada. It's in all 50 states. When the people in charge who are supposedly elected are saying there's nothing to see here, you're not allowed to investigate it, you're not allowed to look under the hood, that shows you everything you need to know about the slave state that they've created. And we have a guest today, by the way. We're going to run through a few things, and our guest is David Willson. David Willson put his hand in the hat, his hat in the ring, so to speak, to run for the Attorney General of Colorado on the Republican side of the ticket against Michael Allen. It's no secret that he is one of my favorites. Michael Allen is a guy that ran away from election fraud while talking about the fact that he's for election integrity. He's not. He's not. David Willson stands up for it. David Willson also, just to make sure that we are very clear on things, he's also the attorney that represents me currently in the Eric Coomer case. The attorneys that he was the local counsel, the attorneys for that I had were dismissed by the judge because the opposing counsel did not want them on the case. Everything is turned on its head right now. The judiciary rotted to the core, bots going through social media trying to tell us what reality is, and stolen environments where leaders have turned our communities into war zones. That's the reality. And here, by the way, is a whistleblower at a California ballot processing center. And you know what? The whistleblowers are then also treated as if they are pariahs. I know, because I came forward 6 years ago. I've spent millions of dollars defending myself. Play it.
Look, you're in California right now at the counting centers. What are you seeing on the ground? I just left the ballot processing center. I'm on my way to Dean Logan's office in the City of Industry. So I pulled over to talk to you because this is a very serious situation. I have a second line where whistleblowers are calling me, telling me 16-year-old kids voted. Anybody could vote in this election. This election is 100% corrupted, and we need either a recount and or potentially a federal audit.
A federal audit. It's coming, and so are arrests. Now, by the way, just so you know that the LA elections are run by Smartmatic, the same one under indictment for bribery charges in other countries. Why is it that criminals can just run around? It's like the cartels policing the cartels, with the henchmen being in the judiciary, assigned ideologically to a side, who then pick sides, put their fingers on the scale, and have decided the fates of millions, winners and losers. And here's a post, by the way, that talks about the SAVE Act didn't go far enough. And here's what should happen. The SAVE Act didn't go far enough. Here's what should happen. Zero out the voter rolls annually. No carryover entities. Rebuild each year with in-person registration only, requiring proof of ID and address. If voters can show up to vote on election day, they can register before it. We renew driver's licenses. We file taxes. Confirming eligibility to vote once a year is not a burden. It is a baseline civic obligation. Annual rebuilds eliminate dead voters, illegal aliens, cloned entries, and every other fraud conducive category permanently, not temporarily. As long as rolls carry over year to year, the legacy pool of fraudulent identities remains available. Reset the list every year. This also addresses a less focused fraud vector. Mass registration drives targeting low propensity voters, college students, transient populations. Create local pools of dormant records. A dormant record is an invitation. If you're registered and never voted, annual renewal ensures that invitation expires. I agree with that. And here's President Trump when he's asked about bringing Americans into the Oval Office. Let's go ahead and play it.
Today's another example of you bringing these everyday Americans into the White House and listening to them. Yeah. How important is it for you to listen to everyday Americans when it comes to policy making on a
These people built the country, not the complainers. The complainers didn't build the country. These people built the country, whether it's fishermen or farmers or anything else. Guys like me, they built the country. I watch all these ingrates. They're always complaining. They didn't build anything. They couldn't build anything. Look at what's happened in Minnesota, Somalia. All these people came in from Somalia. They ripped off our system. You have the woman who married her brother. She came in and married her brother. Isn't that wonderful? And then she talks about the Constitution of the United States. She comes from Somalia. They don't have constitutions in Somalia. They don't have police. They don't have it. All they have is people that run around shooting each other. And then she comes and tells us how to run our country. I don't like it. These people don't like it. I can tell you. I think I can speak for you. Yeah. She comes in, Ilhan Omar. She comes in. She tells us how to run the United States of America. And she comes from a place without anything.
When are we, the average everyday American, going to get a chance to have a seat at the table? When? Where are we if somewhere in the middle of all of these pieces? Where are we if we can't have free and fair elections? Where we basically pick winners and losers. And we have a problem, by the way, in 23rd District, Douglas County, Elbert County. We have a problem with basically fingers on the scale. We pick winners and losers. We pronounce guilt and innocence. Well, I'm going to tell you about our guest, who's a candidate for Colorado Attorney General. By the way, entered the race, I think 5, 7, 9 days before the election for the primary, and still got over 30% of the vote at the assembly in order to get on the ballot for the primary ballot. He's a retired U.S. Army attorney, former prosecutor with over 20 years of military service. He served as a special assistant U.S. attorney and worked as defense counsel, bringing a multifaceted perspective to the criminal justice system. He'd be the perfect attorney general for the state of Colorado. He holds an amazing amount of legal expertise. Not in defamation, which is kind of the we've talked a little bit about that. He's trying to bring himself up to speed on that. But he's also a cybersecurity pioneer. So not only did he work on the law side, but he also worked on the cyber security side. He's been in advocacy for constitutional rights since 2020. He's been a vocal advocate against government mandates, representing service members, doctors, and citizens to defend constitutional liberties. I'm going to let him talk about his campaign pillars. But I think that the one thing I can tell about David is that David believes in restoring and maintaining accountability at all levels of government while being transparent. So with that said, David, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joe. It's good to be here. How are you?
It's good to see you. I'm good. I'm good. Just as you know, working through a rotted judiciary that I can say the things that you probably can't say. Actually, I know you can't say it without losing your law license. But we're here to talk about your run for Attorney General. So let's just jump into it. You're running against Michael Allen for the Colorado Attorney General. You're probably the most even-keeled, honest man I've ever met. And so tell us, talk to us. The primary ballots are out, huh?
I have you to blame partially for this.
Yeah, you do.
So based on what you were just showing with President Trump, one of the things I've been telling everybody, and I've talked about for a long time, is that I am sick of politicians who want to get elected and love you at that time and then disappear. And so if I get elected, I will have a town hall at least once a month around the state and online to make sure I can hear what the people are saying, as well as give them updates as to what's going on. Because, everybody talks about transparency and then nobody does it. So I'm going to ensure that happens and everybody knows what's going on. People need to be fired up because there's a lot of crap going on that nobody's addressing or ignoring. Like my opponent in this race, he's had multiple opportunities to deal with multiple things since he is district attorney, and nothing ever happened. And that's why I'm here. If he did his job, I wouldn't be in this race. And like you mentioned, election fraud, also the porn in the schools, attacks on our children's innocence, attack on parental rights, the rising crime. How can you, as a district attorney, run for the next level and say, I'm going to lower crime when crime's going up while you've been district attorney? And people need to start asking him that. How can you stand on your record when your record doesn't show anything? So, well, those are just a few of the issues.
Well, I mean, this is where we get to. This is where we get to the how would you call it? The gamemanship that happens in politics. I certainly know about it now. I know what proxy votes are now very well when it comes to elections and how you can rig an election with that information. But I think Michael Allen got himself embroiled in a Eric Holt deal, which was he was the fire chief, and they had an election, and he was asked to look into the election. He looked into it. It was obvious voter fraud. It was so obvious. He had video evidence of it, of voter fraud, voter intimidation. The writing was on the wall. He lost his job, right? Got sued. He then sued the people for wrongful termination. This is a guy that's been a Boy Scout, served his country. And they basically, Michael Allen was having conversations with his father, who represented the other party, and so therefore threw out the case for the voter fraud. So we're talking about a family affair of hiding improprieties and crimes, and now he wants to go to the AG's office, and he wants to run for Attorney General.
Yeah. Well, and what you're seeing is an inside look at big establishment. And to add to that resume of big establishment, he's also announced how much money he's been given so far, and that he's guaranteed like double that if he gets through the primary. That's coming from, big, huge donors. That's not the average citizen saying, "Here, let me send you $100." And then to add insult to injury, big establishment, Denver Post, very liberal Denver Post, has endorsed him. And at first I was mad. I'm like, I did an interview with them, and then I never heard back from them. But what it told me, and somebody cued me in, was that that's because the Democrats are afraid of me, not of him. So they're going to push him as hard as they can to get him into the general election, and then they control it. So.
Yeah, no, it's the problem. This is there's a murder case down in Colorado Springs,
Mm-hmm.
where there was an admission of guilt. Like it's a slam dunk case, right? Michael Allen was a DA in that case. And that case was overturned, and they said they needed a new trial. And it was an obvious case of the crime being committed.
Mm-hmm.
And he botched it. So how do we trust a guy like Michael Allen in that position as Attorney General when he covers up election crimes and allows for the persecution of a veteran? Now, he said he's a veteran, so he basically left his brother behind because of politics, right? And stood on the scale of justice and did not prosecute election crimes because it would have led to his case being that case going forward, which then he had to take it all the way up through the appeals court for wrongful termination. And he can't even get with a conviction, I mean, I think it was there was an admission of guilt. Now he got a new case. He botched a almost easy case, and he botched it. It's probably one of many.
Was this are you referring to the case where it turned out there was a relative on the jury?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
don't remember if it was the assistant district attorney's relative or Michael Allen's relative, but there was.
Well, I mean, his dad is deeply involved in the case with Eric Holt on one side, and they're passing back conversations between the DA's office and his dad's law firm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a public affair. It's like a cartel. Just goes back and forth. But these are the ethical people that we have in our society.
But to add insult to injury, it was either shortly before or right after I decided to run. He held a town hall and he touted that case and said, "We got the highest sentence you can get minus the death penalty because we don't have the death penalty." And then a week later, the Court of Appeals overturned it because there was a relative on the jury. And now they have to retry. There goes our tax dollars. Great job. And he seems more concerned with claiming all the prosecutions he's done versus running the office and doing what's right for the people. So,
well, there's a lot of that going around in these DA offices across the state.
Yeah,
selective prosecution and persecution. You got the 23rd district run by George Brockler. And I thought for sure, people have had reservations about George, and I have a friend who's over 70 years old that was involved in a motor vehicle accident with a little boy with no helmet, 30 feet away from his mom in the busiest intersection in arguably all of Castle Rock, while she's playing with her dogs, her kid with her no helmet, 4-year-old on a small bike. He hits the back tire, and they charge him with a crime and then say they want to send him to jail for 45 days. Meanwhile, dozens of assault cases in the 23rd District, they give him probation, send him out the door after they do harm to someone, right? Or give people bail of $100 and spank them out the door so they go back out and burn down the hideaway in the same district, right? But they wanted to make sure they had their pound of flesh with this man, this 70-year-old man, who, by the way, has never gotten so much as a parking ticket, but because he's white and the other woman is black and screamed racism, it's all of a sudden he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Right. This is a problem in our, and not just it's a problem inside of the legal system. Is that there's no accountability. Let the criminals out on the road, persecute mostly white people. I'll just say it, mostly white people, while letting other people get a free pass. Or if you're a criminal, you get a free pass. Right here, let me just give you probation because you had a hard life. While not threatening, saying, hey, by the way, we're going to charge you with these 3 felonies. We're going to take away your life. And oh, by the way, but we'll settle, by the way, on a deferred sentence on the felony if you go to prison for 45 days. That's what they told him. And this is the type of things that Michael Allen does on the regular. I know. I have gun stores and ranges down there. We had a couple kids that broke in, illegals that broke in, stole 8 pistols, got out. We're the ones that caught them. using A tech and 2, they're dumb criminals. They traced it all the way back to them. I haven't gotten my guns back, and they basically let the kids go.
Wow.
Yeah. Let the kids go.
And I'll tell you why. Because they're basing their decisions on agendas. They're not basing them on the rule of law and the Constitution. That's the problem. And I have a similar story for you. But real quick, the decision in the primary is easy. If you want status quo, you continue with my opponent. If you want change, you vote for me, because I'm going north to Denver to change things and then go home. That's my goal. I'm not looking for the stepping stone, the political position, or move up the ladder, fame or fortune. I want to change things for my family and for everybody else, and then go home. Will it be an easy job? No, not at all. The story I wanted to tell was I sort of represented parents. We never actually got into court for a lot of different reasons. But they had a 12-year-old son who was coming out of the middle school. And while he was coming out, it was the end of the day. It was crowded. He was trying to squeeze between a pillar and a group of girls. And as he was doing that, this one girl ended up spinning around. I don't know if she fell or dropped something, but she just ended up spinning around. He didn't even notice this 12-year-old boy. He kept walking, and then his friend had to tie his shoe. So his friend bent down, and this kid stopped and waited for his friend. This girl came circling around and pushed the kid, and the kid, he was much bigger than her. He looked at her like, what's your problem? There was no audio. And then she walks away. Well, they end up prosecuting this 12-year-old boy. Why? Because this girl claims to be transgender. She claims she's a boy, and now they're trying to say he attacked her. When you slow down that video, you can see this kid was almost past her, and either she intentionally or inadvertently put her arm out, and it got hooked or grabbed by the backpack, and she ended up being spun around. The kid didn't even know that this happened. And to the judge's credit, they literally went through a criminal trial. The judge looked at the assistant district attorney and said, not guilty. And the only victim in this courtroom today is that young man you just prosecuted. And this kid had to do therapy. He left the school and was homeschooled, all because somebody had an agenda. And I'm tired of the freaking agendas, and I will get rid of the agendas, certainly in the Attorney General's office. No more agendas.
You'd have to fire everybody. You'd have to fire all of them. You'd have to fire every one of them.
Well, as you know, I'm used to doing big jobs I don't feel qualified for, so. I could be a one-arm paper hanger in a windstorm.
Yeah, I do have an update for you on some of that too, though. I mean, the judge in this case is just an absolute abomination. I mean, and we're talking about the case that you're on with mine. And I can say it. I mean, he's a crooked man. And not uncommon to the judiciary. And by the way, people are like, Joe, he's on your case right now and you're calling him crooked because he's crooked. And I'm going to call crooked. Before, after, during, the previous judge, crooked, marched in an Antifa rally, made a sign that said that she'd burn the whole world down if George Floyd was her son, and then put her fingers on the scale of the Coomer deal. And the whole case has gone that way. the whole case, because you have a crooked judiciary in Denver. So I hope you clean it up, but you're going to have to investigate so many people, David. It's going to be unbelievable how many people you're going to have to investigate and fire. It's going to be Christmas for you.
Yeah.
You don't have a job, and you don't have a job,
Yeah.
and you don't have a job. If you get through it, though, I'm pretty. I think you can handle Michael Allen handedly, right? In a fair fight, I think you take him out easily. But we are dealing with an election system in the state of Colorado that is not a. It's not a system that's designed to be fair.
Yeah, bingo. That's my biggest fear.
Because in a fair fight, I think you win.
Yeah. Well, and I can give you a good example. We did a forum, and they said it's not a debate, it's a forum. No attacking your opponent. And this was in Washington County.
Yeah.
And he got up there, my record. I'm endorsed by attorney generals, blah, 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 my record. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice, but what about the issues? And in the closing, I decided, it's time to point out his record. And I pointed out, DA for 5.5 years, crime is going up. He's claiming he's going to lower crime. I don't know when. Ignored the evidence of election fraud. Ignored the porn in the schools, other than to issue a memo back to the parents saying, work with the schools. And he turned beet red and then complained that I was violating the rules. I'm like, dude, if you're going to have such thin skin, how are you going to be attorney general? Deal with it and talk about the issues instead of claiming that I violated a forum rule. Who cares? And I didn't. All I did was compare myself versus him. He didn't like that.
Well, I mean, let's talk about you for a minute. You're a guy that frankly gets into fights that you're just not afraid. And you have a way about yourself where you can recognize what's happening, look at it, shake your head and be like, yeah, this is not going to be, it's not going to go the way we want it to go, because it was never designed to go that way to begin with. So you set expectations up front. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we find ourselves in this kind of weird place where the entire state is sick and tired of being sick and tired. And having leaders like Michael Allen, let's just call it what it is. Michael Allen is an establishment. He's basically a part of the cartel, right? He's an establishment guy. He says, I'm going to lower crime. But yet in his area, crime hasn't just gone up, it's doubled. And he's putting criminals back on the street. So you have a 91% chance. Since 5.5 years, 91% increase in crimes. Now, yeah, you could say that some of those are petty crimes. You could say it doesn't matter. You have a 91% increase in reportable crimes. And he's the DA. And he's putting these people back on the street. And he can't even get a conviction or recognize that somebody's on the jury that is a family member of another person. And he should have known. Like, how do you not know?
Yeah. Well, no attention to detail.
But he's going to lower crime. I think it's important for people in the state of Colorado to stop looking at people when they smile and start looking at people in the competency and the work that they've done and judge them by those things. And I think that's why he was mad in the forum.
Oh, yeah. Well, and, I ran against him for DA in 2024 because a lot of people asked me back then. These weren't things that I ever wanted to do. But since that election, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him on media, out at town halls, except when election season came around again. That's it. I'm like, stop disappearing. Go let the people know what's going on and be accountable for your actions. So I guess that's the 20 years in the Army. That's what I learned.
Yeah, but he was in the Navy, so he liked air conditioning and hiding below deck.
Yeah.
That's it. So I guess it does match. It does match, being in the Navy, hiding. Yeah. He certainly wasn't a
because I like foxholes and crappy weather and MREs.
you like to be in the rough, man. That's the American way. That's the American way. Okay, so the ballots are out currently, right? There's I think the election is it June 30th?
Yes.
June 30th. And we'll know June 31st or soon after the deal. How do people follow you? How do people find out about your platform? I don't want to beat a dead horse. I don't want to keep you on here and get you gotcha. I want to I do want to play this though. This is a campaign video for you. So I want to, if I could play this, then I'll get your thoughts on that. Then I'll get a way that people can actually follow you. So let's go ahead and play this video.
When government can threaten your job, your license, or your freedom because you refuse to comply, liberty is in danger. My name is David Willson. Since 2021, I have fought the COVID mandates and government overreach. I have helped military service members, doctors, employees, and Colorado citizens who were punished for standing on their conscience, medical freedom, and constitutional rights. As Attorney General, I will not use the law as a weapon against people. I will use the law to defend the people. The Attorney General should be the legal firewall between citizens and abusive government power. That means defending constitutional rights, challenging unlawful overreach, protecting due process, and holding public officials accountable when they break the law. Colorado needs an Attorney General who understands that freedom is not granted by government. It is protected from government. I'm David Willson. Join the fight at david4ag.com. Thank you.
Yeah. david4ag.com.
I would have you in every one of my foxholes. Now I'm a better shot, so I probably be protecting you rather than the other way around.
let me tell you a quick funny story. When I was doing training at Fort Bragg, we were told we were going to be probed and attacked by the 82nd Airborne, and we went out on a fire mission. We came back after dark, and we had to go find our foxholes. Well, as anybody knows, out of two people in a foxhole, one person's supposed to be awake, standing watch. Not everybody is asleep. So we're crawling around trying to figure out which foxholes are ours and shaking people because everybody's asleep. The whole perimeter is completely asleep. And as we're shaking people wake up, somebody grabs their weapon and just starts firing.
Are you serious?
Umbrella flares are going off, lighting up the whole area. I'm like, oh, there's my foxhole. Thank you. And the next day, the story was, wow, did you see all those guys attacking us? I'm like, you bunch of idiots.
Oh, the stories you could tell. But David, we need you as the Attorney General. And here's the thing that I appreciate about you the most. You've never asked anyone, are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Are you an independent? Doesn't matter to you.
No, I don't care.
Are you an American? And you've held that ground of, that it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant what you think. What is relevant is, how do I protect you from those that would want to harm you? How do I protect you from government overreach? How do I protect you from things that are unfair, or unjust, and are taking from you what was never theirs to take?
Yeah, and that's what I've done for the last 10 years or more, because I'm court appointed representing parents having their kids taken away by DHS. I went into that thinking, these parents, they just want to party and get high. It was about 6 months later, after working with, and at one point I ended up with 100 cases working with these parents, and I realized they're dealing with significant trauma. They don't deserve to have their families destroyed because they're struggling. So I spent 10 years working with them, trying to help them get off the drugs, get out of living in a tent or a car, and get back, and get their family together. And it's extremely emotionally draining, but it goes back to human decency. They've screwed up. They know it. They need help. So help them.
Yeah, I agree with you. David, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it very much. And I appreciate you getting into it. I remember sitting outside the courthouse and I was like, you have to run. You're like, nah. Yeah. And I was like, pray about it. You have to run.
That was like one of those "Are you crazy?" moments.
Yeah. I mean, we should have been planning it last year. So, I mean, but I think it's providence, right? So we got to get out there. People have to be able to donate money to you. So you need to make sure that you donate. Go to his site and donate. But and then we just need to make sure we get more of the message out about what Michael Allen has done. He's a paper tiger. He talks about what he can't ever accomplish because he hasn't accomplished it in the position he's in.
Yeah.
Very clear. All right. God bless you. I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
All right. You know, it's the ones that really have the ability to affect change and do the right thing that people are afraid of. And so you have this political apparatus that runs away from people like David Wilson. You have judges that run away from them too. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about more fraud and more victimization of our people, the American people. We'll be right back.
Oh, hi. I almost didn't see you there. Welcome to DCF Buns, where you can find the freshest buns in town, if I do say so myself. Our master bakers teach class every week. So whether you're new to baking or trying to improve your culinary skills, we got you covered. And we can help you bake the cake of your dreams. We'll even clean your cake if you want. And if you don't want to bake anything yourself, we have loads of fresh buns available in a variety of shapes and sizes. Check us out at dcfbuns.com to learn more. DCF Buns. We keep the buns hot and the deals hotter. Buns.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
We need to understand the real reason why USAID is in Africa. And not just USAID, but other NGOs. You look at DFID, which is the British equivalent, and many other smaller ones. Their sole purpose was to act as if they're coming to rescue Africa. They are coming in claiming that they're introducing grassroots initiatives that are going to help the people. And so they use that as a way to go into the most remote parts of Africa. When you look at it on paper, it all looks really good. But they're actually wolf in sheep's clothing. They are using that open access sounding humanitarian to constantly destabilize governments. I can tell you right now, the majority of African leaders, and not just African leaders, but leaders in the developing world, are celebrating the exit of USAID. If you think about it, their sole purpose, for example, filling in the gaps in healthcare and education, where is the change? Show me one country that USAID was in and education improved. Show me what country where USAID was in and healthcare improved. The social services they're bringing, it's peanuts. The American taxpayer needs to know the billions of dollars that are being given to USAID, a fraction is making it to the people.
This isn't just some random woman saying this. This is the African Union ambassador to the U.S. This is somebody who knows what's going on, who's been there and been on the ground. Now, she's saying that the USAID money was used for destabilizing governments. This is something we see over and over again. All the money that was supposed to be used for these programs was actually used for political meddling. This is something that happens in the United States all the time. One of the other things that she says here, right here, funds are allegedly diverted with little accountability. USAID was nothing but a giant money laundering operation. And check this out, reports of funds not reaching ground level, meaning all the money that's sent over there never goes to where it's supposed to go.
I was saying this 16 years ago. I remember, okay, let's go through it. It's been long enough. I'm not subject to any sort of, I can't even imagine what the file looks like for me by the State Department or FBI, whatever it is. I can't even remember. I can't even imagine what that file looks like. Like, who is this guy? And I remember the conversations I would have when I would go into certain areas, like, who is this guy? Super smart, state school educated. Books were lighter, had less information in them. How is this guy able to solve problems? How is he able to see problems the way he sees them? How does he see dead people? In essence, that's what I'm saying. I see dead people. I was there. I saw with my own eyes. I was there, and sometimes I was there with Christian organizations that were there to teach Muslims about Jesus, or to humanitarian stuff. We're fixing, capacity analysis issues in certain countries. Sometimes we were doing negotiations in areas of conflict. And I remember every time I did it, saying to myself, all right, is this a sanctioned nation? Is this a sanctioned nation? Is a sanctioned nation? Okay. So I remember going into Sudan and then flying to Kanana Sugar. True story. Flying to Kanana Sugar, which is in the north part of Sudan, because it is an unsanctioned part of the nation. And otherwise, you're giving material support to terrorists. You can be charged with a crime. I remember sitting there and getting a stack of cash for work that was done. And the guy is literally dropping the things in front of me. And I just walked away. Because the way he was doing it, I just looked around and I was like, somebody's recording this. And it wasn't illegal, but the fact is it could look illegal. And so I knew that there were CIA people inside that environment. I knew, because I was sitting at the Pan Africa Hotel. I was in Kenya. And I sit down at the bar and a guy sits down next to me, and he works for USAID, and he is sharp. Sociopathically sharp. And you could tell. He was spitting out stuff. I promise you this is in my file. And I was like, yeah. At that moment, something inside of me said, loose lips sink ships. Stop talking to this guy. I remember going and investigating the Millennium Villages by Jeffrey Sachs. We're going to, solve poverty across Africa. And I read these amazing reports out of Columbia University by a guy named Jeffrey Sachs, the same guy that talks about election fraud, was on Tucker Carlson. He's the guy, right? And how in the world did Joe know that the CIA headquarters of education is at Columbia University and at Berkeley? How did I know? I know. The legal interference and the way to manipulate the judiciary, that starts in Harvard. But you want to talk about the manipulation and the destruction of nations around the world? It starts at Columbia University. That is the epicenter. That is like the breeding ground. That is the recruitment center for the CIA. And they look for people that are willing to go through this educational experience. Now, I love to learn. So I get involved in things and I take classes and I learn. I read lots of books. But how is it this guy, Joe Oltmann, in 2010, can get on a BBC talk radio and say that these Millennium Villages are all fraudulent? There's no economic activity at all happening in any of the 6 that I was in. None. 0. The bins were dry. There was no distribution of product. The African people were not getting fed anything. And all of the reports that Jeffrey Sachs put together were bullshit. They were a lie. And I debated it on the BBC radio. True story. 2010, 16 years ago, I was mid-30s. How does this mid-30s guy that blew up 2 companies, mismanaged people with capital, went from being worth 20 million to 3 million, went bankrupt, did all this stuff? Because that's what happened. I literally got attacked and I poked the bear and I lost. But then I ended up winning later. But it took me years of litigation. But, I did things that to make my business not survive. How did that guy end up in the Middle East and sitting in rooms with influential people and solving massive problems on capacity analysis and infrastructure development and helping people resolve certain things and negotiating on certain things? How did he end up in there? I don't know. I have no idea. And how was I able to see so clearly when I got into there the dangers of USAID? We would see UN food that came through, and you'd have a big truck that came in, you have the big grain bags, and they'd be stamped UN or stamped USAID. You'd think it'd get to the people, right? No, it didn't. It was sold on the black market. I remember being in Somalia. I had to leave my passport at the border, and I had to travel into Somalia. And I remember seeing the remnants of Doctors Without Borders, another organization that is highly infiltrated by the CIA. They're not there to do good. I also remember pastors and religious organizations. They'd come in, and I was at a hotel, and 2 doors down, you had a guy that says that he was a pastor, and you'd have young 14, 13-year-old girls go in and out of his room. I was disgusted. And I had to say something because that's who I am. I wanted to choke the living you-know-what out of him. I remember a man at the desk at the Pan Africa Hotel. And I remember he came up to my door and he called first. He said, Mr. Joe, because I was there a lot. Mr. Joe, can we talk? I'm like, yeah, we can talk. And typically that's code word for someone in my family's sick. I need money, right? He came up, he sat on my bed. I sat in a chair. And he said, I just want to say thank you. We watch you. We do pay attention. He says, other people come here and they sleep with our women and they don't act honorably. And you have always acted honorably. I would go back. I was there for my birthday one year and they baked me a birthday cake and they had a dinner ready for me. And they had this chicken that I really liked. And they knew it was my birthday. And I was there for my birthday. And so they celebrated my birthday with me. That's the people of Africa. They're amazing. We built this thing called the Comprehensive Peace Agreement. I have a copy of it. I got that copy from President al-Bashir of Sudan. He gave it to me. So I want you to read this. Okay. Now you have the East Peace Agreement as well, the EPA, and you have the Darfurian Peace Agreement. These are separate agreements. And General Schwarzkopf, by the way, was one of the people that signed and carried out the elements of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement. And I remembered that there was a bunch of things that couldn't get done. And I would hear all the problems with how these things could get done. I mean, I'm telling you this is, how is this guy Oltmann involved in this stuff? You could check, by the way, you can have a conversation about all of this with their people. This is not like Victor Marx talks, right? These are, I have pictures. I have pictures with me with Mohammed Hussein Falala, head of the Hezbollah, in a bombed out shelter in the bottom in 2009 with a pastoral group that went over there. Then I sat there and I looked at this guy and he's talking. And sometimes you can see God in people. And this guy, they said he's a terrorist, and it shook me to the core because I'm like, this guy's not a terrorist. Oh, he's pretending. No. What we do is pretend. What they do is fight for their own people. We create terrorists by bombing out entire groups of people and sending the CIA and the USAID. But inside of this, I remember being in a truck and I was going from North Sudan to South Sudan. And the truck was carrying cash. True story. And the Abyei district is a district that sits between North Sudan, or what now is Sudan, and now South Sudan. And it's an oil-rich area. It's actually there's other minerals and things. It is a very rich country in resources. But this oil was being sold in arbitrage. It was being sold for pennies on the dollar. So there's lots of outside influence of getting access to it. So you have billions of dollars that go through this, and you have Costello Garang down in South Sudan who's saying, hey, look, they didn't send us the money. And I was like, yeah, they did. And it was like this big thing. Like, they're not honoring their agreement. And so there's all of these lies that get told. And the people in the middle of it, USAID. Yeah. And if you go across the border into Sudan, they talked about the fact that there were, minefields that people would get blown up in. You know who put those down? It wasn't the Sudanese. You talk about the hunger and the breakdowns of the healthcare system in South Sudan. It was a thriving system. Now it's completely decimated today. You talk about the economic activity that was happening in South Sudan and some of the agriculture that happens down there, completely decimated. You have Doctors Without Borders that came in to save them. You have a hospital network completely decimated. Education system, South Sudan, completely decimated. But we came in there to help. We said, you know what? We have to free the Christians in South Sudan. Here's the problem. It was a tribal nation. There were no Christians. We were just recruiting people and saying, oh, they love Jesus. Anything to get access to a little bit of food so they can eat. USAID, when that woman spoke about it being a lie, you can talk about USAID, their infiltration and what they've been able to do down in Guatemala when they were trafficking children through Save the Children, an organization that Joe Biden sat at the head of. Samantha Powers then transferred from Guatemala, where women and children disappeared into the chasm of the United States during this chaos that was created during the Biden administration to fill the coffers with more victims, all run by USAID. The change of the Constitution down in Guatemala, run at the consulate down in Guatemala. Who's at the head of it that's causing all of these changes in the structure of the country of Guatemala and getting a election where the president of the country is a deviant by a lot of people's, and you don't know what's true or not true, frankly. You don't know what's true. He could be a good man. He could be. But then the fight that happened between the AG, and then you had sanctions on the country, and you had Marco Rubio that's being told one thing, and he's getting these reports. And the truth is that none of what he was given was true. But much of what we got overseas in Africa, wasn't true. And it was all coming out of USAID, whose entire job was to make themselves relevant. Get more money so they could launder more money, so they could put money in different places. It was a big scheme. It was a big ruse and a big fraud. And so when President Trump said, I'm cutting off USAID, when I'm doing all those things, he was cutting off just a part of the tentacles of the snake that the CIA had. And that's why they wanted to kill him. See, the CIA didn't want to kill JFK. The CIA wanted to kill JFK because JFK was being honest with the American people just 3 days before he was assassinated. And President Trump has very clearly, over the last 10 years, told us things about what is happening that we've ignored. And in large part, the media has come out and said, how dare you? And they beat him with sticks. They tried to assassinate him. They went after his family. They went after him. They charged him criminally. And by the way, the person that was responsible for having President Trump be charged criminally is a guy named Eric Coomer, who went and testified in a grand jury down in Georgia that caused that infamous mugshot down in Georgia to have to occur. The same guy that was the head of the strategy and security for Dominion Voting Systems, the same guy that traces all the way back to Sequoia Voting System that was owned by Smartmatic, that is now responsible for what's happening in Los Angeles. Do you get it yet? A large part of our media apparatus in 2012, you had the Smith Modernization Act that allowed for the media to lie to the people with impunity. In comes social media, has all the bots, you have all the different things. They can make themselves look bigger than they really are. They can infiltrate and groom children. They can make them confused, create chaos, and all of a sudden they can degrade our society while standing up illegals and spitting on and stepping over Americans, the poorest of our Americans too, creating civil unrest, causing things for people to turn into animals because there's not much left to do. If you don't have education, if you don't have opportunity, what else are you going to revert to? Animalistic behavior. It's pretty simple. That's why we have it. These kids don't see any hope. They're like, you know what? I'm angry. I don't see anything in my future. Let's go rob a 7-Eleven. USAID is the equivalent of the CIA. The CIA is everywhere, by the way. They steal our elections here. What they perfected over there, they brought back here. But when she talks about these things that happen with USAID, it's synonymous with Bill Gates going in and putting in vaccines. It's synonymous with what they did in Sudan specifically. And I want to bring you back to something that if anybody has any sort of information to prove me wrong, I promise you don't. But in Darfur, they said that there was ethnic cleansing and genocide, and they indicted at The Hague President al-Bashir of Sudan. They used it as an excuse to cut the country in half. A person named Susan Rice was responsible in large part for all of that happening. She was the one that went to the UN and lied with impunity. She was the henchman. She was the Samantha Powers. She was and by the way, Samantha Powers on a $160,000 salary now is worth $20 million. How? Because it's a cartel. Just like the CIA agent that had $40 million in gold bars and $2 million in cash and watches and everything else. It's why the most significant assassination in the history of the United States on September 10th, 2025, is something we should never forget. Charlie Kirk. And you have Candace Taylor that digs into stuff, and you have Tucker Carlson that digs into stuff, and they became our pariahs. These were the revered in our society as people that were truth tellers. And now the more information they're fed, some of it's probably fake, some of it's probably not. But the fact remains that there are people that caused the death of Charlie Kirk. And it wasn't a 22-year-old kid that got on a roof and took a lucky shot with a 30-06 that frankly would have tore Charlie Kirk's head off. The kinetic nature of that shot does not match anything to do with the ballistics, but they believe that the American people are stupid. They also believe that you're stupid about what they do over in Africa, that you don't care. And likewise, at the same time, you have a bunch of black people here in the United States that are like, yeah, we should stand up for Carmelo Anthony, the guy that stabbed a guy in the chest. Because that's how you solve problems. If you want me to start solving problems that way, yeah, you call me violent. You say, I call for somebody to be tried for treason. When found guilty, I feel like they should be hung by their neck until dead. Oh, Joe calls for violence. He wants to go after our political leaders. They aren't political leaders. They're selected leaders that have created a system that enslaves the American people. What that woman said about Africa is real. And the crimes that we've committed against humanity are real. And in Darfur, by the way, let's get back to that for a minute. Darfur is in the northwest side of Sudan. Sudan, by the way, is a country that is surrounded by 9 countries with porous borders. You have the Janjaweed, the Chadian rebels, the 43 Darfurian rebel groups. You have different tribes that war and factions that turn. You have the Chadian army. You have the Libyan army. I mean, there's a lot going on in that area. Sparsely populated. They've been intermarrying for 2,000 years or so. There's no ethnic cleansing. And who is in the middle of it? Doctors Without Borders and USAID. And all Susan Rice needed was just somebody to tell the story that, yeah, it was the army, it was the Sudanese army that came in and they were told to kill us and rape us and steal. I'm not telling you the crimes weren't committed. Because if you drive through and into Darfur, you can go miles without seeing the existence of anything. I'm talking not even an animal. You would think that the world was a desolate place and you were the only person in the world that exists in some areas. It's a very unsafe area, but safe area all at the same time. but there was no genocide. And how can we call that genocide? And you had this thing called Save Darfur that were run by two stooges here in the United States that raised billions of dollars on the hearts of the American people, telling them that we had to go help the people in Sudan. We had to help them, and there's genocide and ethnic cleansing. And then Susan Rice used this falsity to go to the UN and get an indictment against President al-Bashir without a single bit of evidence. Not a single bit of evidence, not one. And stories that are told by people that walk into tents with Doctors Without Borders or the USAID. And at the same time, they have food that's going across and they're black market selling it to these leaders, tribal leaders. It's not getting there for free. It's pennies on the dollar that get to the people. And I went into countries and I'm like, we should do this project. And they're like, okay, let's do it. And I remember walking over there, like, yeah, it'll be $100 million. And I was like, yeah, piss off. I'll take my toys and go home. We're going to do it. We're going to do it based on a budget. And they're like, oh, okay, that checks. And so we did. We did. We solved massive problems and did great things. At the same time, I was observing these things that were happening. And I'm like, wow, how in the world is this even possible? How is it possible that we could be this corrupt and get so many things wrong? So I wrote a white paper after white paper after white paper. I remember sitting and having tea with Bashir. I remember changing the mind of what would be the equivalent of the ambassador in Sudan. I remember the brief that was written, and we're like, nothing that they're saying here is true. And as soon as he was convinced, because we were like, hey, let's just have a sit down. As soon as he was convinced, the Obama administration yanked him out. He became a liability. I remember sitting with the fellowship in Washington, D.C., going to the National Prayer Breakfast and having meetings with different leaders. And they're like, Joe, here's what we're seeing. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I remember going into mosques and sitting down with imams, and they're like, these are radicals. And I was like, hey, are you a radical? I'd be around them enough. And I was like, hey, and some people say Muslims are all bad. And I was like, okay, well, then Christians are bad too. There's a whole lot of Christians in prison. And they're like, no, Christians not bad. Just Muslims. Like that, they pray to a false god. And that's how you're going to get somebody to follow Jesus, by the way, is to tell them that they follow a false god. So I had to read the Quran, and I studied it. And in the middle of all of this, the chaos that was created, all led me back to one place: CIA. I've been very vocal about it. And when I got out of it, and I was in Doha, and my daughter was going to high school, and she was worried about me dying. Every day she was worried about me dying. Every day. Every single day she was worried about me dying. And I remember saying, I got to go home and be a dad. And I walked away from it. Some months later, my brother ended up going to prison for 12 months and one day. It was a blessing because they found that he had cancer when he was there. He had to go to federal prison for all the work that he did. And the reason why he took the plea deal, he was later pardoned by President Trump, is because they said, we're going to go after the other people. We're going to go after Joe. We're going to go after Doug. We're going to go after other people. So he took it. And I went home. And I built a thriving business. And I didn't get involved in any more politics. I stepped away from it and said, man, I don't want anything to do with it. I just want to help in my little way. And then 2020 came along. And the same bullshit they did over in Africa with Ebola and everything else that they did, and the vaccines and the scare tactics and going in and doing bad things and sterilizing entire communities and entire villages, they were bringing it here. The same chaos that they created with Antifa in Europe, they brought it here. Who was responsible for it? CIA. But now it was global clause that they put into the place. And they told us that they had the 2 weeks to slow the spread. Let's shut it down. But they had no intent on it being 2 weeks. They wanted to see as far as they could push the American people to create chaos. And then in the middle of all that, they had to find a Controversial figure because they needed, same thing that they did overseas, same thing. A controversial figure, and they had to make that the poster child for injustice. While they committed massive amounts of injustice so that you could take your eyes off of what was happening in the country and focus in on a known criminal that had 4 times the lethal limit of fentanyl in the system that died because of a lie. And they sent those police officers to prison for it, still in jail, still there. In the middle of all that, you had billions of dollars that they were funneling away and giving to Somalis and other people. They were creating a story, a narrative that the American people had to hold on to. Americans were losing their jobs. H-1B visas were coming over. You have this huge fraud that gets created. You have all this stuff that happens, and we just, it's garbage. It's garbage. So 2020, I got involved. I had to. I couldn't watch my community burn to the ground. I was enjoying too much success. And it was at the pinnacle of that success. I was ready to just say, we're going to retire, be done. Then my conscience and God's yearnings pushed me into a place where I had to stand with my brothers and sisters. And it cost me plenty over the last 6 years. I want to show you this because just like the stuff we saw in Minnesota, we keep busting rings over and over and over again, and it leads to petty crimes being persecuted. But no one ever really pays the consequence. I want you to see this. This is an H-1B visa fraud. Let's play it.
Holders since 2015. Over 70% came from India and nearly 12% from China. And when you zoom in on this map you're looking at, you can see where most are being hired. The dark red spots show a high density of H-1B visa holders. And now we're learning more about the fraud within the program. One former official tells Newsweek that up to 90% of applications, 90% from India, contain fraudulent documents or involve unqualified applicants. And finance law enforcement in India claim it has uncovered a network of universities that produce fake degrees which were possibly used to obtain these high-skilled H-1B visas, including one school which allegedly stole over 36,000 fake degrees, sold, I should say. It cost as little as $1,400 for one of those. And while these are supposed to be high-skilled employees, during almost all of Biden's time in office, 83% got junior or entry-level positions. And now Texas is taking action, cracking down on those abusing the program.
American people are treated like slaves. We're the most qualified. We're the most courageous. Black, white, green, yellow, purple, it doesn't matter. When you understand the ethos of our nation, you understand that we weren't built to be slaves. We weren't built to be in bondage. We built an amazing country over 250 years. We fought, we bled. We saw an impropriety and we solved it. We knew that slavery was wrong, so we fixed it. We knew segregation had to go, so we dismantled it. And we went against the man. And the segregation and the slavery of Lincoln's time is now the election fraud and the capture of our communities today. Americans are feeling the pinch, and people are stealing from us what was never theirs to take. And I want to show you this. This is what's happening in Minneapolis City Hall, the same place, by the way, that has allowed billions of dollars to be funneled away from Americans, hard-earning Americans that can't feed their families, and given to people who don't deserve to be here or shouldn't be here. Play it. I don't know. Maybe it's me, right? No, it's not you. It's me. It's totally me. It's Friday. And we have to be thankful for the things that we do have. We also have to be we have to be aware of the very real facts that our government is rotted. Our judiciary is rotted. The CIA, USAID, these are all organizations. It's supposed to be the Central Intelligence Agency. It's supposed to be intelligent people. And when people speak up, they kill those people. They ridicule them. They do what they did to me. They create a narrative that isn't true. This is day 6 of Joe is not an anti-Semite. And that piece of shit, Elliot, I'm literally at day 5, excuse me. Today's day 5. There was some special on HBO and they ran a deal and they used me as a poster child for how do they go after this guy, Joe Oltmann? Why is it that they can't stop talking about Joe Oltmann? They can't stop talking about me. Nationally, in the state, everywhere, there's this fear of what Joe Oltmann has to say. Stay away from Joe Oltmann. If we can build enough of a narrative, then we can crush him. Because frankly, too many people keep listening to this guy. Well, tell me what I say that's so wrong. Tell me what Galatians 4:16 says, am I the enemy because I tell you the truth? And the fact that I've become their enemy should tell you everything you need to know. The fact that every social platform has censored me, that, I mean, you have people walk around and they can use these dog whistles. It doesn't bother me because I know I'm not that person. But they know too that there you have this guy that's highly intelligent. And make no mistake about it, I can run circles around 99% of the people out there from an intelligence standpoint. No question. No question. I also, by the way, lack some intelligence getting involved in this in 2020 because if I'd have been smart, I'd have kept my mouth shut and used my intelligence to make money or do other things for myself. I wouldn't have gotten involved in any of this because it's been nothing but a heartache and it's caused me a lot of pain. But if you have a plan, go ahead and just pass it on up to the man upstairs. Say, God, Lord, this is my plan, and see how he takes it. Because if there's too many eyes in that plan, guarantee you it's not going to go your way. Guarantee you. All right. Listen, have a great weekend. Understand that speaking truth and standing up for truth, we say the 4 things that we have to do. Let's get back to those basics. We have to pray first. We have to stand. We have to speak. We have to act. It's biblical. We pray, stand, speak, act. We pray first so that we never become the very thing that we're fighting against. We stand up. Always stand up when you're speaking truth. When you stand up, you want to speak the truth. Always speak the truth, regardless of the consequences. And then act. Faith without works is dead. And don't take one part of the Bible and forget the rest of it. You have to understand the teachings. You have to understand what they're telling you to do. Read the Beatitudes. Make sure that you personally are connected to the things that you should be grateful for. And when you're done acting, go back to prayer. This is the thing that keeps the cycle going. Because again, when you go back to prayer, you can't become the thing that you're fighting against. I don't know of anybody that could watch my videos or watch the things that I go through and say, it's been a little bit therapeutic over the last little bit, and think for any minute that what I'm doing is a harm to anything in the United States. The threat is that I'm standing up for you. And so now it's time for you to stand up for you. So let's pray, let's stand, let's speak, let's act. Let's make sure that we concentrate on the 4 things that make the world go around and make the restoration of God in our community, in our country, in our schools, in our home, everywhere that we have it, that it makes it possible. All right. So let's pray. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. We're on Roku now. We just need to make sure sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I guess they're doing some stuff also on Google Play, the Play Store, so you'll be able to see us there as well. So let's pray. Father God, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for just your ability to lift the burden off of us and allow us to see clearly what's right in front of us. We thank you, Father, for ridding Africa of USAID, for eliminating this suppression, tool of suppression that has really stolen from a nation what was never theirs to take. We are grateful for the accountability, Father, that has come over the last 6 years, and we understand it comes with great pain and also despair as we see that things don't happen as fast as we want it to. But Father, we are grateful for things to happen in your time, and we understand that part of this is the walk of faith. So we're grateful to have the opportunity to walk in that faith and to walk in this time and to be alive at a time such as this, that we can play a part in pursuit of restoration. Father, please help us as we go through our weekend, that we may honor you, that we remember the sacrifices that were made before us, that we may speak the truth, but we may also love our neighbors and recognize that hurt people hurt people. Help us, Father, that we may listen first before we jump in both feet, and may guide and protect our children, our grandchildren, people in our community, and do what's right by the people in our country. We seek free and fair elections, Father, and we ask you to give us the ability to effectuate that, to get rid of mail-in ballots, get rid of the machines, to have the people responsible for these crimes committed against us, not just here, but around the world, held responsible for those things. We see clearly, and we're thankful for the veil of truth the veil being lifted and being able to see the truth. We ask, Father, that those that are sick may be healed or comforted. And we ask you, Father, to guide us and to guide our thoughts and prayers, that we may pursue what is good and never become the very thing that we're fighting against. We say these things humbly in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. We will see you Monday. I'm going to be traveling, so I'll be out and about, but Monday we'll have a great show for you. We'll have some guests for you. And I look forward to seeing you. All right. God bless.
Rise up untamed, in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong.